The space station called Harmony's Edge floated in the darkness between stars. It was a massive structure, home to thousands of beings from dozens of different worlds. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked its long corridors. Some had scales, some had fur, some had tentacles or wings or extra limbs, and among them there were humans. Was one of those humans. He had been living on the station for 8 months now. His job was simple but important. He was a translator. He helped different species talk to each other. He learned their languages, understood their cultures, and made sure nobody started a war because of a misunderstanding. It was lonely work sometimes. Humans were still new to the galactic community. Many aliens looked at them with curiosity. Some looked at them with suspicion. Humans were small compared to most species. They were fragile. They lived short lives, but there was something about them that made other species nervous. Humans were unpredictable. They did not give up easily. They fought even when they should not win. Did not think of himself as special. He was just a man doing his job. He woke up every morning in his small room. He ate breakfast alone. He went to work. He translated documents and attended meetings. He smiled politely at his alien colleagues, and then he went back to his room and slept. But there was one thing that made his days different. One thing that made his heart beat faster and his mind lose focus. Her name was Vila. She was from a species called the. They were tall and graceful, with silver-blue skin that seemed to glow softly in dim light. Their eyes were large and golden, like 2 small suns. Instead of hair, they had long, flowing tendrils that moved gently even when there was no wind. They were beautiful in a way that was hard to describe. Vila was a cultural advisor on the station. She helped different species understand each other's traditions. She was smart and kind and patient. When she spoke, her voice sounded like soft music. When she smiled, the whole room seemed brighter. And could not stop looking at her. He tried to hide it. He tried very hard. They had a special ability. They could sense emotions. They could not read thoughts, but they could feel what others were feeling. If someone was happy, they knew. If someone was angry, they knew. If someone was afraid or sad or in love, they knew. This made things difficult for her. He learned to control himself around her. He kept his face calm and his emotions locked away. When she walked into a room, he looked at his documents. When she spoke to him, he gave short answers. When she smiled at him, he nodded politely and looked away. He knew it was strange behavior. He knew she probably thought he was cold or unfriendly, but he did not know what else to do. He could not let her feel what he felt. It would be embarrassing. It would be inappropriate. They were colleagues. They were from different worlds, different species. It was impossible. But that did not stop him from thinking about her every night before he fell asleep. Vila noticed from the first day he arrived on the station. There was something different about him, something unusual. Most species were easy to read. Their emotions floated around them like clouds. She could sense joy and fear and anger without any effort. It was natural to her, like breathing. But humans were different. They could hide. They could lock their feelings away behind walls that she could not break through. It was frustrating. It was also fascinating. And was the most closed-off human she had ever met. She watched him during meetings. He sat quietly, listening carefully, speaking only when necessary. His face never showed what he was thinking. His eyes were calm and steady. He was like a stone in a river, unmoved by the currents around him. But sometimes, just sometimes, she caught him looking at her. It was never for long, just a glance, a quick look before he turned away. But in those brief moments she felt something, a flash of warmth, a spark of emotion that disappeared as quickly as it came. What was he hiding? She tried to talk to him several times. She asked him about his work. She asked him about Earth, his home planet. She asked him about human customs and traditions. He always answered politely. His words were correct and formal, but there was no warmth in them, no connection. It was like talking to a machine. She did not understand. She had never met anyone so determined to keep her out. One day, she decided to ask him directly. She found him in the observation deck. It was a large room with windows that looked out into space. Stars filled the darkness like scattered diamonds. It was a beautiful view, and many beings came here to think and relax. Was standing alone by the window. His hands were behind his back. His face was reflected in the glass, calm and thoughtful. Vila walked up beside him. She could feel his emotions shift the moment he noticed her. Something stirred behind his walls, but then it was gone, locked away again. "The view is beautiful tonight," she said. "Yes," he replied, "it always is." "Do you come here often?" "Sometimes when I need to think." "What do you think about?" He was silent for a moment, then he said many things. Vila felt a flash of frustration. Why was he so difficult? Why would he not open up to her? She said, "May I ask you something personal?" He turned to look at her. His eyes met hers. For a moment she thought she saw something there, something deep and hidden, but then it was gone. "You may ask," he said, "but I may not answer." "Why do you always hide from me?" The question surprised him. She could feel it. A crack in his wall quickly repaired. "I do not hide," he said. "You do. Every time we speak, I feel like you are holding something back, like there is a door between us that you refuse to open." Looked away. His jaw tightened. She could feel the conflict inside him even through his walls. He was fighting with himself. "Some doors are meant to stay closed," he said quietly. "Why?" "Because what is behind them might cause problems." "For who?" He did not answer. Instead, he turned and walked away, leaving her alone with the stars. Vila watched him go. Her heart was beating fast. She did not understand what was happening to her. She had spoken to thousands of beings from hundreds of species. None of them had ever made her feel this way. What was it about this human that affected her so much? She looked out at the stars and wondered. Somewhere out there on a small blue planet called Earth had been born. He had grown up. He had learned and loved and lost. And now he was here on this station, hiding behind walls that she could not break. But Vila was patient, she was curious, and she was not going to give up. She would find out what was hiding, no matter how long it took. The meeting room was filled with tension. Could feel it in the air like electricity before a storm. Two species sat on opposite sides of a long table, and they looked ready to kill each other. On one side they were large beings with thick skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were small and dark, and their voices were deep and rough. They came from a desert world where strength meant everything. On the other side they were smaller, with soft white fur and large ears. Their voices were high and quick. They came from a forest world where speed and cleverness were more important than size. These two species had been fighting over a small moon for decades. Both claimed it belonged to them. Both refused to back down. And now, after years of small conflicts, they had agreed to meet and talk. Was the translator for this meeting. It was his job to make sure both sides understood each other. It was also his job to make sure nobody said anything that would start a war. He sat at the end of the table between the two groups. His face was calm, his voice was steady, but inside he was worried. The tension in the room was growing with every minute. The leader of a massive being named Commander, slammed his 4 fists on the table. The sound echoed through the room like thunder. "We will not surrender our claim," he roared. "The moon belongs to us. Our ancestors fought and died for it." The leader of a quick-eyed female named Elder Myra, stood up from her chair. Her fur was standing on end with anger. "Your ancestors stole it from us," she cried. "We lived there first. You invaded and took it by force." "Force is the natural order. The strong take what they need." "The strong are not always right." Watch the argument go back and forth. He translated every word carefully, making sure both sides understood exactly what was being said. But he could see that understanding was not the problem. The problem was pride. Neither side wanted to look weak. Neither side wanted to give up anything. And if this continued, they would leave this room and go back to fighting. He had to do something. "If I may speak," said, his voice cutting through the noise. Both leaders turned to look at him. The commander frowned. The elder tilted her head. "You are just the translator," Commander said. "Your job is to repeat our words, not to add your own." "That is true," replied. "But I have also studied your histories, both of them, and I think there is something you are both missing." "What could a human possibly know about our history?" Elder Myra asked. Stood up slowly. He kept his voice calm and respectful. "I know that 300 years ago your two species were allies. You traded with each other. You helped each other during hard times. The moon you are fighting over was once shared by both your peoples. It was a place of peace and cooperation." The room went silent. Both leaders stared at him with surprise. "How do you know this?" Commander asked. "It is in your old records. Both of you have them. But somewhere along the way you forgot. You forgot that you were once friends. You forgot that the moon was not something to fight over but something to share." Elder Myra's fur slowly settled down. She looked at the commander with new eyes. "Is this true?" she asked. Commander was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "My grandmother told me stories," he admitted. "Stories about a time when our peoples worked together. I thought they were just old tales, fantasies." "They were not fantasies," said. "They were history, and history can be repeated. You do not have to be enemies. You were friends once. You can be friends again." The meeting lasted for several more hours, but the tension was gone. Instead of shouting, there was talking. Instead of threats, there were questions. By the end, both sides had agreed to continue discussions. They would not solve everything in one day, but they had taken the first step. When the meeting ended, walked out into the corridor. He was tired but satisfied. He had done his job. He had prevented a war. He did not expect to find Vila waiting for him. She was standing near the observation deck entrance, her golden eyes bright in the station's soft light. Her tendrils moved gently around her shoulders. "You did well today," she said. Stopped, he felt his heart jump, but he pushed the feeling down. "I was just doing my job," he said. "No," Vila stepped closer. "You did more than that. You could have stayed silent. You could have let them argue, but you chose to speak. You chose to help." "Anyone would have done the same." "No, they would not. Most translators stay neutral. They do not get involved, but you did. Why?" Shrugged, "Because it was the right thing to do." Vila studied him for a long moment. He could feel her trying to sense his emotions. He tightened his walls, keeping everything hidden. "Why do you always do that?" she asked. "Do what?" "Hide." She moved even closer. He could smell something sweet like flowers from a world he had never visited. "Every other being on this station, I can feel them, their happiness, their sadness, their fears and desires, but you are like a locked door, always closed, always hidden." Finally looked at her properly. For a moment his guard slipped. Vila felt something warm rush out from him, something intense and powerful, but then it was gone, locked away again. "Some doors are closed for a reason," he said quietly. He turned and walked away before she could respond. Vila stood alone in the corridor. Her heart was beating fast. Her mind was spinning with questions. What had she felt just now? What was he hiding? And why did she care so much? She did not understand what was happening to her. She had met many beings in her life. She had worked with humans before. None of them had ever affected her like this. There was something special about, something different. He was not just a translator. He was not just a quiet man who did his job and went home. There was more to him, depths that she could not see. And she wanted to see them. She wanted to know what was behind that locked door. Over the next few weeks, she found herself watching him more closely. She noticed small things. The way he helped a lost alien find their way. The way he stayed late to finish his work. The way he sat alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars with sad eyes. He was lonely. She could feel that much, even through his walls. He was surrounded by thousands of beings, but he was alone. It made her heart ache in a way she did not expect. One evening, she found him in the cafeteria. He was eating dinner by himself, reading something on his tablet. She walked over and sat down across from him without asking permission. He looked up surprised. "May I help you?" he asked. "I want to talk to you," she said. "About what?" "About anything. I am tired of short answers and polite smiles. I want to have a real conversation with you." Put down his tablet. He looked at her for a long moment. "Why?" he asked. "Why do you care so much about talking to me?" It was a good question. Vila was not sure she knew the answer. "Because you are interesting," she said finally. "Because you are different. Because every time I try to understand you, I fail, and I do not like failing." Almost smiled, almost. "I am not that interesting," he said. "Let me be the judge of that." They talked for 2 hours, about his home planet, about her home world, about their jobs and their lives and their dreams. He was still careful, still guarded, but he talked. He shared. He let her see small pieces of who he really was. And Vila found herself enjoying every moment. When they finally said goodbye, she realized something that surprised her. She did not want him to leave. She wanted to keep talking to him. She wanted to spend more time with him. She wanted to know him. And that scared her more than anything. The station was transformed. Colorful lights hung from every ceiling. Music from 100 different worlds played through the corridors. The smell of strange and wonderful foods filled the air. Beings of all species walked together, laughing and celebrating. It was the Festival of Stars. Once every year, the station celebrated unity. For one night, everyone forgot their differences. Everyone was equal. Everyone was welcome. Did not want to come. He was not good at parties. He did not like crowds. He preferred to stay in his room with a book and a cup of tea, but his colleagues had insisted. They had practically dragged him out of his quarters. "You need to socialize," his friend had said. Was another human translator, older and more outgoing than, "You cannot spend your whole life hiding in your room." "I am not hiding," had replied. "I am resting." "Resting is for old people. You are young, go out, have fun, meet someone." So here he was, standing at the edge of the celebration, watching everyone else have fun while he stood alone in the shadows. The main hall was beautiful. Floating lanterns drifted through the air like tiny glowing creatures. A massive crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling, casting rainbow patterns on the walls. Aliens danced and talked and laughed all around him. And then he saw her. Vila entered the hall like a dream walking into reality. She was wearing traditional ceremonial clothing. Long silver fabric flowed around her body like water made solid. Her skin glowed softly in the dim light, and her golden eyes seemed brighter than ever. Her tendrils were decorated with tiny glowing beads that sparkled like stars. She was the most beautiful thing had ever seen. He could not look away. He forgot to breathe. His heart pounded so hard he thought everyone in the room must be able to hear it. And then she saw him. Their eyes met across the crowded hall. Vila smiled and began walking toward him. The crowd seemed to part around her like she was royalty. Wanted to run, he wanted to hide. He wanted to disappear into the walls and never come out, but his feet would not move. He was frozen in place, watching her come closer and closer. "You came," she said when she reached him. "I did not have much choice," he managed to say. "My colleagues forced me. And yet you stand alone in the corner." "I am comfortable alone." Vila tilted her head, studying him with those golden eyes. "Are you, truly?" Did not know how to answer that question. Truthfully, no, he was not comfortable alone. He was lonely. He had been lonely for a long time, but he did not know how to be anything else. "Would you like to dance?" Vila asked. The question caught him completely off guard. "I do not dance," he said quickly. "Everyone can dance. You just move your body to the music." "I would step on your feet." "I am willing to take that risk." Before he could argue more, she took his hand and led him onto the dance floor. Her hand was cool and smooth against his warm skin. The contact sent electricity through his entire body. They danced, or rather Vila danced and tried not to fall over. She was graceful and light. He was stiff and awkward, but she did not seem to mind. She laughed softly at his mistakes and gently guided him through the steps. "See," she said, "you are dancing." "I am surviving," he replied. "There is a difference. You are too hard on yourself." The music changed to something slower. Around them, other couples pulled closer together. Was suddenly very aware of how close Vila was. He could feel the warmth of her body. He could smell that sweet flower scent again. His walls were cracking. He could feel emotions leaking out that he had tried so hard to hide. Vila felt them too. Her eyes widened slightly. She whispered, "What are you feeling right now?" Before he could answer, a loud crash interrupted them. On the other side of the hall, a commotion had started. A large alien from a warrior species was standing over a smaller delegate. The warrior was clearly drunk. His 4 eyes were unfocused, and he was swaying on his thick legs. "You insulted my honor," the warrior roared. "I demand satisfaction." The smaller delegate, a thin being with purple skin and trembling antennae, tried to back away. "I meant no offense. Please, I was just trying to." "Silence!" The warrior raised a massive fist. Everyone around them backed away. No one wanted to get involved. The warrior species was known for their strength and their temper. Getting in their way usually meant getting hurt. Moved without thinking. He pushed through the crowd and stepped between the warrior and his victim. The small delegate scrambled away to safety while stood his ground. The warrior stared down at him, was less than half his size. He looked like a child standing before a giant. "Move, human," the warrior growled. "This is not your concern." "You are drunk," said calmly. "You are not thinking clearly. If you hurt this person, you will start an incident. Your species will be embarrassed. You will be sent home in shame. Is that what you want?" The warrior's eyes narrowed. "You dare lecture me?" "I dare tell you the truth. Walk away, sleep it off. Tomorrow you will thank me." The warrior laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You think you can stop me, little human? I could break you with one hand." "Maybe," agreed, "but you would have to catch me first. And humans are very fast when they need to be. We are also very stubborn. We do not give up, ever. Are you sure you want to spend your festival night chasing a human around the station?" The warrior hesitated. He was drunk but not stupid. Humans had a reputation. They were small and weak, but they were also relentless. Stories said that humans would fight until their last breath. They would keep coming no matter how many times you knocked them down. It was not worth the trouble. The warrior spat on the ground near his feet. "You are lucky tonight, human, but do not cross my path again." He turned and stumbled away into the crowd. The tension in the hall slowly dissolved. People began talking and laughing again, pretending nothing had happened. Let out a breath he did not realize he was holding. His hands were shaking slightly. He had been more scared than he showed. A hand touched his shoulder. He turned to find Vila standing behind him. Her expression was strange. It was something between surprise and admiration, and something else he could not identify. "That was brave," she said. "That was stupid," he replied. "He could have killed me." "But he did not, and you saved that person." Shrugged, "I did what anyone would do." "No," Vila shook her head. "You did what you would do. That is not the same thing." She looked at him differently after that. He could see it in her eyes. Something had changed. Some wall between them had cracked. They spent the rest of the festival together. They talked and laughed and even danced again. Forgot to be careful. He forgot to hide. For one night, he let himself enjoy her company without worrying about what it meant. When the festival ended and the lights began to dim, they stood together on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "Thank you," Vila said softly, "for tonight." "Thank you for dragging me onto the dance floor," replied. She laughed. It was a beautiful sound. "Same time next year?" she asked. Smiled a real smile. "Maybe." They said goodbye and went their separate ways, but something had changed between them. They both felt it. They just did not know what to do about it yet. The alarm woke everyone on the station at 3 in the morning. Red lights flashed in the corridors. A loud siren echoed through the metal walls. An automated voice repeated the same message over and over. "Emergency in Section 12. Structural failure. All personnel report to emergency stations." Jumped out of bed and pulled on his clothes. His heart was racing. In his 8 months on the station, there had never been an emergency like this. Small problems, yes. Minor incidents, but never a full alarm. He ran into the corridor and joined the crowd of beings rushing toward the emergency area. Everyone was talking at once. Nobody knew exactly what had happened. When he reached Section 12, he understood why. A massive piece of the station's outer wall had collapsed. Twisted metal and broken wires blocked the main corridor. Emergency lights cast everything in a harsh red glow. Rescue teams were already working, trying to cut through the debris. But there was a problem. "We have 6 people trapped on the other side," the rescue team leader announced. He was a large being with blue scales and worried eyes. "The oxygen systems in that section were damaged. They have maybe 30 minutes of air left." "Can we cut through?" someone asked. "Not fast enough. The debris is too thick. Our cutting tools will take at least an hour." "What about going around?" "All other routes are blocked." The collapse was extensive. A horrible silence fell over the crowd. 6 people were going to die, and there was nothing anyone could do. Studied the collapsed area. His mind was racing. There had to be another way. There had to be something they were missing. Then he saw it. Near the bottom of the debris pile there was a small gap. A maintenance shaft entrance, half hidden by fallen metal. It was tiny, maybe half a meter wide at most, too small for most species on the station. But not too small for a human. "I can fit through there," said, pointing at the gap. The rescue team leader looked at him like he was crazy. "That shaft is unstable. One wrong move and the whole thing could collapse. You would be crushed. If I do nothing, 6 people die. If you go in there, you might die too." Looked at the gap. It was dark and dangerous. Every instinct in his body told him to stay away, but he thought about the people on the other side. They were scared. They were running out of air. They were waiting for someone to save them. He could not just stand here and do nothing. "Give me an oxygen mask and a flashlight," he said. "I am going in." The rescue team leader hesitated, then nodded slowly. "You are either very brave or very foolish human." "Probably both," replied. He took the equipment and approached the gap. Just before he entered, he heard someone call his name. He turned. Vila was pushing through the crowd, her golden eyes wide with fear. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "What I have to do. You could die in there." "I know." "Then why?" "Because it is the right thing to do." He gave her a small smile. "I will be fine, wait for me." Before she could argue, he climbed into the shaft and disappeared into the darkness. The maintenance shaft was even worse than he expected. It was cramped and twisted. Broken pipes dripped strange liquids on his head. Sparking wires lit up the darkness with dangerous flashes. The metal groaned and shifted around him as he crawled forward on his hands and knees. Every few meters he had to stop and listen. He could hear the station settling. He could feel vibrations through his palms. If the debris shifted the wrong way, the shaft would collapse. He would be trapped. He would die. But he kept going. He thought about his mother back on Earth. She always told him he was too reckless. She said he took too many risks. She was probably right, but he could not change who he was. When people needed help, he helped them. It was simple. After what felt like hours but was probably only 15 minutes, he saw light ahead. The end of the shaft opened into the trapped section of the station. He pulled himself out and took a deep breath. The air was thin. The oxygen was running out faster than expected. 6 beings huddled together in the corner. 2 humans, and 2 beings from a species he did not recognize. They all looked terrified. One of the humans, a young woman with dark hair, was crying. "Is someone coming to save us?" she asked when she saw him. "I am here to save you," said, "but we need to move fast. The oxygen is almost gone." "How do we get out? The corridor is blocked." "The same way I came in, through the maintenance shaft. It is small, but you can fit, one at a time." He led them to the shaft entrance. One by one they crawled inside, went last, making sure everyone was ahead of him. If the shaft collapsed, he wanted to be the one at the back. The journey back was harder. The tunnel seemed smaller. The sounds of shifting metal seemed louder. Every few seconds expected the walls to close in and crush them all. But they made it. When the first survivor emerged from the gap, the crowd outside cheered. One by one, the trapped beings crawled out to safety. The rescue team pulled them to their feet and wrapped them in emergency blankets. Was the last to emerge. He was covered in dust and oil. A cut on his forehead was bleeding. His arms were shaking from exhaustion. And then he collapsed. Vila was at his side before anyone else could move. She caught him before he hit the ground and lowered him gently onto the floor. "You foolish human," she whispered. Her voice was shaking. "You could have died." Looked up at her. His vision was blurry. His body felt heavy, but he could see her face above him, her golden eyes shining with tears. "Some things are worth the risk," he murmured. Vila felt something from him, something raw and unguarded. His walls were completely down. She could feel everything he was feeling. The exhaustion, the relief, the fear that he might not have made it. And underneath all of that, something else. Something warm and powerful and directed entirely at her. It was love. Pure, honest, undeniable love. Then his eyes closed, and he passed out in her arms. The medical team arrived and took him away. Vila stood alone in the corridor, surrounded by celebrating rescue workers and relieved survivors. But she saw none of them. She could only think about what she had felt. He loved her. This quiet, stubborn, reckless human loved her. He had been hiding it for months. Every time he looked away, every time he kept his distance, every time he locked his emotions behind those walls, he was trying to hide this. And she understood now. She understood everything. Because she felt the same way. She had been confused for so long. She did not understand why she cared so much about this human, why she wanted to be near him, why it hurt when he walked away from her. Now she knew. She was in love with him too. The realization hit her like a wave. She had to sit down. Her legs felt weak. Her heart was pounding. What was she supposed to do now? She did not know, but she knew one thing for certain. When woke up, they were going to have a very important conversation. Woke up in the medical bay. The first thing he noticed was the bright lights above his head. The second thing was the pain in his arms and legs. The third thing was the bandage wrapped around his forehead. He was alive. That was surprising. He tried to sit up, but his body protested. Every muscle ached. Every joint complained. He felt like he had been stepped on by one of those massive warriors. "You should rest," a voice said. Turned his head. A medical officer, a small being with green skin and 6 fingers, was standing beside his bed. How long have I been here? Asked. About 12 hours. You had a minor concussion, several cuts, and severe exhaustion. Nothing permanent, but you need to take it easy for a few days. The people I rescued, are they okay? All safe and healthy, thanks to you. The medical officer gave him a small smile. You are quite the hero, human. The whole station is talking about what you did. Did not feel like a hero. He felt tired and sore and slightly embarrassed. He had just done what needed to be done. Anyone else would have done the same. Well, maybe not anyone, but someone. The medical officer left to check on other patients, lay back and stared at the ceiling. His mind drifted to the last moments before he passed out. He remembered Vila's face above him. He remembered her golden eyes filled with tears. He remembered the feeling of his walls falling down. Oh no! He sat up suddenly, ignoring the pain. His walls had been down, completely down. That meant Vila had felt everything, every hidden emotion, every secret feeling. She knew. She knew he loved her. Panic rushed through him. What was he supposed to do now? How could he face her? She would think he was strange. She would be uncomfortable around him. Their friendship, whatever fragile connection they had built, would be ruined. He wanted to hide. He wanted to run back to Earth and never return. He wanted to disappear into the darkness of space where no one could find him. But before he could do any of those things, the door to the medical bay opened. And Vila walked in. She was wearing her normal work clothes, simple silver fabric that matched her skin. Her tendrils moved gently around her shoulders. Her golden eyes locked onto him the moment she entered. His heart stopped. Then it started again, beating twice as fast as before. You are awake, she said. I am, he replied. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, tight, nervous. Vila walked to his bedside and sat down in the chair next to him. She did not say anything for a long moment. She just looked at him with those unreadable eyes. Could not stand the silence. Listen, he started. About what happened before I passed out, I was not thinking clearly. My walls were down. Whatever you felt, you should just forget about it. I was confused and exhausted and... Stop. The word was soft but firm, closed his mouth. Vila leaned forward. We need to talk. About what? About you, about what I felt from you when you were injured. She paused. You let your guard down. For the first time since I have known you, your walls were completely gone. I felt everything. Looked away. He could not meet her eyes. Vila, please, just forget it. I do not want to make things awkward between us. For months, she continued as if he had not spoken, you have kept yourself closed off. You barely look at me. You leave rooms when I enter. I thought you disliked me. I thought you found my species strange or unsettling. That is not. Then what is it? Her voice was rising now, not angry but intense, demanding. Why do you hide from me? Why do you run away? Why do you refuse to let me see what you are really feeling? Because I am trying to protect you. The words burst out of him before he could stop them. Vila froze. Protect me from what? From me. Ran a hand through his hair. He was breathing hard. From my feelings. I know they are inappropriate. I know we are from different species. I know you probably do not feel the same way. I did not want to burden you with my emotions. I did not want to make you uncomfortable, so I hid. I kept my distance. I tried to pretend I did not feel what I felt. And what do you feel? The question hung in the air between them. Could hear his heart pounding in his ears. He could feel sweat forming on his palms. He could run. He could lie. He could rebuild his walls and pretend nothing had happened. But he was tired of hiding, tired of pretending, tired of being alone. Don't be a coward, Vila said softly. Tell me your thoughts, human. Finally looked at her, really looked at her. Her silver blue skin, her golden eyes, her graceful tendrils, the gentle glow that surrounded her like a soft light. You want the truth? He asked. Yes. He took a deep breath. This was it, no going back. You are the most attractive alien woman I have ever seen." Silence. Vila stared at him. Her mouth opened slightly. Her tendrils stopped moving. For a moment she looked completely shocked. "What?" she whispered. Laughed softly. It was a strange laugh, somewhere between relief and terror. "Every time I see you, I cannot think straight. Your voice, your eyes, the way you move, it drives me crazy. When you enter a room, everyone else disappears. When you smile, I forget how to breathe. When you touched my hand at the festival, I thought my heart was going to explode." He was talking fast now. The words were pouring out of him like water from a broken dam. I kept my distance because I did not know how to handle it. I did not know if it was appropriate, if it was even possible. I am human. We are completely different. I thought my feelings were foolish, hopeless. So I tried to hide them. I tried to make them go away. But they would not go away. They just got stronger. He finally stopped talking. He was breathing hard. His face felt hot. He had never been so vulnerable in his entire life. Vila was still staring at him. Her golden eyes were wide. Her cheeks had turned a deeper shade of blue. "You find me attractive?" she asked slowly. "Devastatingly so. But we are different species. Most humans prefer their own kind. Most humans have never met you." Vila did not know how to respond. In all her years as an empath, she had felt many emotions from many beings. Love, hate, joy, sorrow, fear, hope. But she had never felt anything like what she had felt from when his walls were down. The intensity of it, the purity. He was not lying. He was not exaggerating. He loved her with everything he had. And suddenly, she realized that she felt the same way. She said softly, "When you were in that tunnel saving those people, I was terrified. I kept thinking about what would happen if you did not come back. What would I do if I never saw you again? And I realized something." "What?" "I do not want to live on this station without you. I do not want to go a day without seeing your face. When you were hurt, when you passed out in my arms, I thought I was just worried about a friend. But it was more than that, much more." She reached out and took his hand. Her cool fingers wrapped around his warm ones. "I love you too," she said. Stopped breathing. He was sure his heart had stopped too. He could not have heard her correctly. "What did you say?" "I said I love you," Vila smiled. It was the most beautiful smile he had ever seen. "I do not know what this means for us. We are from different worlds, different species. There will be challenges, complications, people who do not understand. I do not care about any of that." "Neither do I." She leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. It was a gesture of affection, he remembered. The most intimate touch possible. Closed his eyes, he could feel her warmth, her presence, her love. For the first time in years, he did not feel alone. "No more hiding," she whispered. "No more hiding," he agreed. They stayed like that for a long time, forehead to forehead, hand in hand. Two beings from different worlds who had somehow found each other in the vast darkness of space. The universe was a big and lonely place, but sometimes, if you were lucky, you found someone who made it feel smaller, warmer, like home. Had found that someone. And he was never letting go. Word traveled fast on a space station. By the next day, everyone knew that the human translator and the advisor were together. It was the biggest gossip the station had seen in years. People whispered in corridors. They stared when and Vila walked past. Some looked curious. Some looked confused. Some looked disapproving. Tried not to let it bother him. "They are all watching us," he said quietly as they walked to the cafeteria for breakfast. "I know," Vila replied. "Does it bother you?" "A little. Does it bother you?" "Not at all." She squeezed his hand. "Let them watch. I am not ashamed of what I feel." Smiled. He was still getting used to this. Holding her hand in public, being open about his feelings, not hiding behind walls anymore. It was strange and scary and wonderful all at the same time. They entered the cafeteria and got their food. As they sat down at a table, noticed a group of aliens at a nearby table whispering and pointing at them. One of them, a being with orange scales and narrow eyes, looked particularly unhappy. "Ignore them," Vila said. "I am trying." They ate in silence for a few minutes. Then the orange-scaled alien stood up and walked over to their table. He stood in front of them with his arms crossed. "You are the human everyone is talking about," he said. His voice was cold. "I suppose I am," replied calmly. "And you are with a now. How interesting." He looked at Vila with something like disgust. "I did not think your species would lower themselves to be with a human." Started to stand up, but Vila put a hand on his arm. "I do not see how my personal life is any of your concern," she said coolly. "It concerns all of us. Humans are newcomers. They are primitive, violent. They have only been in space for a few generations. They are not worthy of being with superior species." "And who decides what makes a species superior?" asked. The alien snorted. "History decides. Evolution decides. Humans are barely out of their caves. You fight wars with each other. You destroy your own planet. You are lucky we even allow you on this station." Felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. "You are right," he said slowly. "We are young, we make mistakes. We are not perfect, but we are also brave. We are stubborn, we do not give up, and we do not let others tell us who we can love." The alien laughed. "Brave, you call it brave, I call it stupidity." "Then we will have to disagree." For a long moment the alien stared at him, met his gaze without flinching. He was not going to back down, not now, not ever. Finally the alien turned and walked away. His friends followed him out of the cafeteria, still whispering and pointing. Vila let out a breath. "Are you okay?" "I am fine, are you?" "I am proud of you," she smiled. "You did not lose your temper, you stayed calm. That is not easy." "I learned from you." He took her hand again. "Besides, what he said is not wrong. Humans are young. We do have problems, but that does not mean we are worthless. And it definitely does not mean I am not worthy of you." Vila's eyes softened. "You are more than worthy, never doubt that." They finished their breakfast and went to work. The day was long and busy. Meetings, translations, documents. But whenever they passed each other in the corridors, they smiled. Whenever they had a break, they found each other. It was nice, normal, the kind of ordinary happiness that had never thought he would find. That evening they met on the observation deck. It had become their special place. The place where they first truly talked. The place where they watched the stars together. "Can I ask you something?" said. "Of course." "When did you first realize you had feelings for me?" Vila thought about it. "I am not sure. It was not one single moment. It was many small moments. The way you helped others without expecting anything in return. The way you stayed calm in difficult situations. The way you looked at me when you thought I was not watching. You noticed that." "I notice everything about you," she smiled. "What about you? When did you first realize?" Laughed softly. "The first time I saw you. You were walking through the main corridor talking to someone. The light was hitting you just right and your skin was glowing. I thought I was dreaming. I thought there was no way someone so beautiful could be real. Love at first sight." "Something like that, but it became more than just attraction. I started to admire you, your kindness, your patience, your intelligence. The more I learned about you, the more I loved you." Vila moved closer to him. Her cool shoulder pressed against his warm one. "This is strange for my species," she said. "Usually bond with other, it is tradition, expected. Do you regret choosing me?" "Never," she looked up at him. "But I want you to understand what you are getting into. If we stay together, there will be challenges, cultural differences, biological differences. Some of your people will not understand. Some of mine will not approve. I do not care about other people's opinions." "I know, but I want to be honest with you." She took a deep breath. Live much longer than humans, 300 or 400 years. If we stay together, I will watch you grow old. I will watch you die, and I will live for centuries after that." The words hung in the air. Had not thought about that. He knew aliens had different, but he had never considered what it meant for a relationship. "Does that change how you feel about me?" he asked quietly. "No, but I want you to know the truth. This will not be easy for either of us." Was quiet for a long moment. He thought about what she was saying. Decades of happiness, followed by centuries of loneliness for her. Was it fair to ask her to accept that? But then he thought about the alternative, walking away, pretending they did not love each other, going back to being alone. No, he could not do that, and he did not think she could either. "Every moment with you is worth it," he said finally. "Whether we have 10 years or 100, I would rather spend whatever time we have together than live forever without you." Vila's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. "Humans are strange," she said. "So I have been told. You love so fiercely, so completely, even knowing it will not last forever. Maybe that is why we love so fiercely, because we know it will end." He turned to face her. "Vila, I cannot promise you forever. No human can. But I can promise you that I will love you every single day that I am alive. I will wake up every morning grateful that I found you. And when I am gone, I hope you will remember me. Remember that a strange, stubborn human loved you more than anything in the universe." Vila wiped her eyes. "How do you always know the right thing to say?" "I do not, I just tell you the truth." She leaned up and pressed her lips to his. It was their first real kiss, soft and gentle and full of promise. When they pulled apart, was grinning like a fool. "Was that okay?" Vila asked. "I have never kissed a human before. I hope I did it right." "It was perfect," he said. "Absolutely perfect." They stood together on the observation deck, watching the stars spin slowly past. Two beings from different worlds, united by something that transcended species and culture and time. They did not know what the future would bring. There would be challenges, difficulties, maybe even heartbreak, but they would face it together. And that was all that mattered. 1 year had passed since Vila first admitted their feelings for each other. It had been the happiest year of his life. Every morning he woke up with a smile. Every night he fell asleep counting his blessings. He had found something rare and precious in the vastness of space. He had found love. Their relationship had not been without challenges. There were cultural misunderstandings, communication problems, days when everything seemed too hard and they wondered if they had made a mistake. But they always worked through it. They talked, they listened, they learned from each other, and every challenge they overcame made them stronger. The station had slowly gotten used to them. The whispers faded. The stares became less frequent. Some beings still disapproved, but most had accepted that the human and they were a couple. A strange couple, perhaps, an unusual pairing, but a genuine one. His friend had been surprised but supportive. "I always knew you had good taste," he had joked, "but I never expected you to aim quite so high." "You have no idea," had replied with a grin. Vila's family had been harder to win over. Her parents, still living on her home world, had been shocked when she told them. A human, their daughter, one of the most respected advisors on the station, was with a human. But Vila had stood firm. She told them about his bravery and kindness, about the way he made her feel, about the love they shared. Slowly her family had come around. They agreed to meet him someday. It was not full acceptance, but it was a start. Today was special. It was the anniversary of the Festival of Stars, the same festival where they had danced together for the first time, the same festival where had stood up to protect a stranger, the same festival that had changed everything. The station was decorated once again. Lights and music filled the corridors. Beings from every species celebrated together, united in their differences. And Vila walked hand in hand through the crowd. This time there was no hiding, no pretending. They were together and everyone knew it. "Remember last year?" Vila asked. "You stood in the corner like you wanted to disappear." "I was terrified," admitted, "of the party, of you, of my own feelings. And now I am just happy." He squeezed her hand. "Happy to be here, happy to be with you, happy to be alive." They found a quiet spot near the observation windows. The celebration continued behind them, but here it was peaceful, just the two of them and the endless stars. "I have something for you," said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Vila's eyes widened. "What is this?" "Open it." She opened the box carefully. Inside was a small pendant on a silver chain. The pendant was shaped like two stars orbiting each other, intertwined forever. "It is beautiful," she breathed. "It is a human custom," explained. "When we care about someone, we give them gifts, things that remind them of us, things they can keep close to their heart." He took the pendant and fastened it around her neck. "I saw this in a shop and thought of us, two stars from different parts of the universe, somehow finding each other." Vila touched the pendant gently. "I love it. I will wear it always. I wanted to give you something to remember me by, something that will last." She looked at him with those golden eyes. "I do not need a pendant to remember you. You are written into my heart. No matter what happens, no matter how much time passes, I will never forget you." "Good," he smiled, "because I plan to give you many more memories." They stood together, watching a distant star explode in a burst of color. A supernova, millions of light years away, painting the darkness with red and gold and purple. "Do you ever think about the future?" Vila asked softly. "All the time." "What do you see?" "Thought about it? I see us growing old together. Well, me growing old, you staying beautiful forever." She laughed and he continued. "I see us traveling, maybe visiting your home world someday, meeting your parents, showing you Earth." "You would take me to Earth?" "Of course. I want to show you the ocean, the mountains, the forests. I want to watch the sunset with you. I want to introduce you to rain." "Rain?" Vila tilted her head. "Water falling from the sky." "It is wonderful, cold and wet and refreshing. I think you would love it." "I would love anything if I experienced it with you." Wrapped an arm around her. She leaned into him, her cool body against his warm one. "I know our time is limited," he said quietly. "I know that someday I will be gone and you will continue without me, but I want you to promise me something." "Anything." "Promise me you will be happy. After I am gone, I mean. Promise me you will not spend centuries being sad. I want you to live, to love again if you can, to experience all the wonderful things the universe has to offer." Vila was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. "I do not know if I can love again after you, but I promise I will try to be happy. I will carry you with me always. You will be part of every adventure I have, every joy I experience. You will never truly be gone. As long as I live, a part of you will live too. That is all I can ask." They kissed under the light of the dying star. It was a kiss full of promises and dreams and hope. Behind them, the festival continued. Music and laughter echoed through the station. Aliens of all species danced and celebrated, united for one night in the joy of being alive. And among them, a human and a held each other close, grateful for every moment they had together. The universe was vast and strange and often lonely. It was full of darkness and danger and the unknown, but it was also full of wonder, full of beauty, full of love. Had spent so many years hiding from his feelings, running from connection, building walls around his heart, but Vila had shown him a different way. She had shown him that vulnerability was not weakness, that love was not foolish, that opening your heart to another person was the bravest thing anyone could do. He did not know what the future held. Nobody did, but he knew one thing for certain. He had found his place in the universe, not a planet, not a station, not a location on any map. His place was beside Vila. His home was in her arms. And that was enough. Same time next year, Vila asked, echoing her words from a year ago. Smiled, same time every year, for as long as we have. Then let us make every moment count. Every single one. They turned back to the stars, the pendant gleaming softly at Vila's throat, their hands intertwined. Two souls from different worlds, united by love. In the vast darkness of space, they had found their light. And they were going to hold onto it forever.